Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in today. If you enjoy our content, please click that subscribe button and turn on your ring notifications. Also follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Our episodes come out every Monday at 8 p.m. and your support will go a long way. Before we head over to the podcast, we'd like to thank our sponsors. Are you looking to buy or sell your home or just curious about how much it's worth? Visit AlessandroDivinoHomes.com today. Working with Alessandro of Compass will give you the edge in navigating the real estate market. And by ASF Sports and Outdoors. ASF is your community hub for all your sporting goods. ASF Sports and Outdoors, expert advice every day. And now, let's head over to the podcast. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us today on the PrepZone Podcast. I'm your host, Estevao, Divino, and I'm sitting here today with Mackenzie Pretty. Hi Mackenzie, how are you?
Hi, I'm great, how are you?
Doing great. Mackenzie joining us today. She's the assistant coach for Staples Girls Varsity. They've won back-to-back state championships, and she's been doing that for 10 years. Mackenzie has lived in Westport for 14 years, has 3 children, daughter Parker and sons James and Thomas. She is a Division I soccer player at Fairfield U for 4 years as starter and a co-captain. Led her team to 3 MAC championships and 2 double NCAA tournaments. She was also, in 1999-2000 season, elected a Female Scholar Athlete of the Year, and that's across all sports, not just soccer. Member of the U.S. U19 U.S. Youth Sports Association National Championship team. Also played Premier and ODP throughout middle school, high school, and college, going to 2 national championship Final Four tournaments at U17 and U19. Mackenzie grew up in Guilford, Connecticut, making all New England and all state women's soccer teams. She's a master fitness trainer, a push-up champion, and an interior designer at the GL Design Home. How does that sound?
It's a lot. It's a lot to take in there.
It's a great resume, right? It is really.
It's life's work.
And I want to kick off, ask you to talk a little bit about the girls soccer team. You guys won back-to-back state championships. And, when I think in town, when we think about the Staples girls, we think championships, we think winning. How does that feel? How's that coming about? And does it ever get old?
Well, it definitely never gets old. Yeah, that's it's an incredible program to be a part of, and the kind of the history and culture of winning that we've been able to create over the last 10 years is something that we're really honored and privileged to be a part of. But I think over the last 10 years, I think it's really been the one thing that I'm so proud of is the fact of, like, when I'm at, because I live in the town that I coach, but I'll be at, like, Trader Joe's and, just out and about in the town, and a parent will come up to me who's, like, a parent of a ball girl. And they'll be like, oh, my gosh, my girls, my daughters just loved coming and being a ball girl and being on the sidelines.
So
like,
great.
Those are moments that, the winning is, like, a really important and, exciting moments to be a part of. But the kind of the community aspect of the high school girls, what they get to be a part of, and the impact they have in the town is really cool.
It is, and I do remember when I was, coaching at, rec, and I would see the travel things, and it feels like you remember more of the things that are around the sport than the actual game itself, right? So little moments of the buzz ride,
Yes.
things like that.
Yeah.
Talk about how this team has gelled and how they are off the field a little bit.
Yeah. To me, it feels like family, and I think the same thing for Barry, too, being from Ireland. But it's, I've raised my family here in Westport, and for the last 10 years, my youngest son, he's 14. So, for the last 10 years, he was just starting kindergarten when I started coaching. So I think being a part of we call it the GSOC family, it's really just been an honor to be about it. And the girls themselves, they create that culture. The bus rides and the jokes and the banter and how they get along on and off the field is really something special to be a part of.
It is, and I know I see a lot of stuff you guys have, like when somebody scores, they always come to the sidelines and they high five the players on the side, right? That's pretty cool. But I want to touch on something I always feel it's interesting. You guys are basically everyone's World Cup final. Mm-hmm. How do you guys handle that pressure game after game, and how do you just stay motivated and let the girls think, hey, they're coming in, but we got to keep strong?
Yeah, it's not easy for the girls to stay motivated on a day-to-day basis, and it's very different from when we first started coaching 10 years ago. We were kind of the underdog, and then now to be kind of the team that kind of has a target on their back, it's a very different way of approaching the games. I think the biggest thing that we try to hammer home with the girls is that, one, it's an honor and a privilege to wear the Staples jersey. Like that, we want them to feel kind of the power that representing Staples High School has. So every time they put that jersey on and they step on the field, they know the level of intensity and commitment that they need to bring, because it is truly a privilege to play for our town.
100%. And I wanted you to talk to you. You mentioned playing for the town. You played ODP, you played club, you played everywhere.
Right.
Is it how different and how, I don't know if it's more rewarding or not, you can speak to that, playing for the town you grew up and you represent and versus playing for a club?
Yeah, I think playing for your high school team is something that's really special. And hopefully I think you'll end up talking to some girls at different points in the season, so you'll get a real vibe of it. But there's so much pride behind it, and these are kids too that you play with that you've actually played rec soccer. One of the best parts, right, is like when we have the banquet at the end of the year and you see the seniors and they see all pictures of when they played with WSA rec, and they have like bows in their hair, or and they're like all these goofy silly smiles and arms around each other. So it's a moment that and especially I coached, especially last year, my daughter was a senior on the team, so that senior class, I had coached them when they were in kindergarten at WSA for rec. So it's a lifetime for these girls that they play together. And the fact that they can do it at the high school level is really special.
It is. I mean, all I remember about rec is the first time I coached was a kindergarten game. Yep. And the night before, my co-coach and I were talking strategies for kindergarten. Because we have, and then we get there, and the dog walks in the field, and everybody chases the dog and forgets the ball. Right?
So good.
So it gives you understanding of how far they've gone.
Yeah.
And how those friendships remain, right? Yeah. I mean, that makes everything into the field, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really is. That's part of that kind of that culture, that family that we really like to try to foster.
It's amazing. Now, I did read an interview that you did in 2017 for Westport Moms.
Oh, geez.
I did. I did some homework. I know. It was really good. I felt like you were so honest on that interview.
Yeah.
And one thing that I think stuck with me, and I want to bring it up, is you talked about how sometimes you need to forgive ourselves when we make a mistake.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And I feel like soccer is a sport that can be decided in a few seconds, right? It's one letdown, something like that. But it's, some people say it's a game of mistakes. I don't know if it's a game of mistakes, but it's more about, kind of going to the next play. But can you expand a little bit on that interview when you said, kind of forgiving yourself, and how do you apply that to your coaching today?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I do. I think I tend to hold myself or my family or, to a really high standard. But yet at the same time, I feel like I'm okay. I expect myself to make mistakes because I feel like I'm always, as trying to hold yourself to a high standard, you're always trying to achieve more and kind of understand what that next level is and what is it that I can do individually for myself or my team or my family to kind of be a better person or a better coach or a better mother, a better teammate in my workforce. Like, how do I get to that next level? But there's no way I'm going to be able to get there unless I make mistakes along the way. And I think it's I think it's years of experience, like failing at different things and then realizing that there's another side to it. And I think with the high school girls, their span of life is so short right now that they don't get to see the other side of it, right? No. They don't necessarily understand like these little windows in time and points in time that when they fail that, hey, listen, that's actually going to be building blocks to that next level. And when we think about it, like with GSOC as a whole, it's been 10 years that Barry and I have been coaching. And we were in 2 or 3 state championship finals before we lost, like we have years of girls like showing up in that state final game and not being able to come away with the trophy. And the heartbreak in that, it's so hard for them. It is. But then you see what it does down the road of how those building blocks kind of get you to where it is that you want to be. It
is. I always think about, in sports in general, when you make the playoffs, every team that's there, just one is going to win the last game.
Yeah.
Everybody else is going to be heartbroken.
Yeah.
So think about what 16, 18 teams make.
Yep.
17 teams will be heartbroken. Only one will be doing that. So it is, a life experience for them and things like that. And as you guys, sit there and you coach girls and you see them grow, from a freshman, and Barry mentioned, like, you don't cut freshmen. You start with everyone and then you kind of grow them. What has been the most rewarding thing that you think when you take a freshman and see them in the senior? Is it on the field, off the field? I don't know if you maybe can share a story of someone that really like touched you, and that's always seems to be interesting to hear.
Yeah, no, my gosh, there's so many of them over the years. This is just a simple, small one that when we're just kind of like talking about making mistakes and kind of growing as individual and as players, like last year. So Annabelle Edwards, she's a junior for us this year. She's one of our junior captains. She's an absolute superstar. I'm sure everyone has heard about her and watch her.
Was she the one who scored 3 goals in the final last year? Okay,
right.
That's
so
it.
At the beginning of the season last year, right? So she comes in as a sophomore, just off her freshman year. She was the only freshman that we took on varsity. And she plays left mid for us. And we had very high expectations for the impact that she can make on us offensively on the field. So she plays for her club team left back, right? So she's a defender at heart, and we're transitioning her to be to really be an attacking threat for her. So the first few games, you could tell she was frustrated and like really down on herself, and we're trying to figure it out. And for whatever reason, I was like in passing with her father, and her father's like, I think it's really hard for Annabelle because she's used to being a defender. And when you make a mistake as a defender, like that could be the game on the line,
game,
right?
yeah.
So for her, making mistakes wasn't necessarily an option. So now here we are. What we're asking her to do is to take on defenders left and right. We want her to drive. We want her to take players on one-on-one. And for us, we're like, yeah, it's no big deal. She's going to make mistakes left and right. That's what they do, right? They are always kind of trying to attack and take on players, and they make mistakes left and right. And like as soon as he said that, I'm like, oh my God, that's why she's getting so frustrated right now. Like she doesn't understand that in this new role, you actually have so much freedom to be creative and to take on players.
You take a lot more chances
a lot
forward.
More chances. And so, like to your point, like at the beginning of the season, her frustration and kind of getting down on herself, and then you look by the end of the season, the progression. She scores 3 goals in the finals. Once she started to kind of let that go and recognize it's okay during the game, to make mistakes and.
Yeah, and it's a life lesson that's hard to teach a teenager, isn't it?
It is.
But they need to understand, as they're going through life, understand that, you are going to sometimes fail at things, but you always learn from that. It's what you do and you take from that, and then you grow. And to your point, she was in the beginning and in the final she scored 3 goals.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's been amazing. Now, as you look at this season, and obviously no one wants to look ahead and talks about anything like that, but is anything other than the final a disappointment?
I think the disappointment of any team, that like the only way that we can be disappointed is if we feel like we don't reach our full potential. And I think we focus on like kind of the process and the progress, and the wins. Those are things that those will happen if it happens. But for us, it's about reaching our fullest potential and kind of the progression throughout the season. So the only disappointment would be is if at the end of the day, the players step off the field, no matter what last game it is for them, and they feel like, we didn't quite accomplish what this team could potentially accomplish. So I think that would be the disappointment. So
you're number 4 in the state, in the country right now. The country. I was saying state. I correct myself because I saw country. So I'm like, what is the ceiling here? Because it's like I know I follow every time I look, and I think I mentioned Barrett is like it's not about did they win. It's like by how much did they win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And I'm sure that there's got some tough competition between them, and they keep pushing themselves. But this group this year, from what I've seen, it seems like they're really gelling well.
Yeah. I think we've started off the season strong, but we have, again, it's about that progression. Like we've started out strong, but we've also recognized areas where we're going to be able to improve over the next few weeks, because we never want to peak too soon. That's a kind of something that we've learned, and then we really work on kind of that progression throughout the season. I think with us being ranked 4th in the country, what it's really done is kind of elevate and put on the stage the challenging FCIAC league that we're in, because that is something that I think has kind of been underestimated over the years. And I think playing in the Class LL Championship and playing in the FCIAC really has prepared ourselves to be kind of known now on the national level. Yeah,
I mean, last year you guys I think lost in the FCIAC finals and went on a state run that was amazing.
Yep.
Right, and I mean that has to. I mean, is the FCIAC is very important, and it's very strong.
Yeah.
It's a very strong league, right? But that kind of prepares you for the states,
Yeah,
right? When you
really
get there,
does.
you're kind of like you already face a tough competition.
And then a lot of the times we end up in the past, I mean, Ridgefield, we faced twice in the FCIAC, or twice in the state finals, in prior years. Like, we end up in their semifinals, we had to play Fairfield Ward, which was like a crazy challenging game. So our state final run this year was kind of fun because we got to play some other teams in the state, but a lot of the times it ends up being fellow FCIAC teams that we come head-to-head against. So we end up having to beat them 3 times, which is never an easy feat for any team.
Yeah, it can't, because you just end up knowing each other so well.
It's hard. It's really
right?
hard.
It's really hard. So I want to ask one last question then about the FCIAC and the states. I mean, as you look at your competition, who do you guys think can give you the biggest challenge for you guys this year?
I think St. Joe's is a team to really watch for right now. Okay. I think they're 4 or 5 games in, and they're smashing teams. So I think that's going to be a real challenge. I think that Greenwich has done really well this year. We play them next week. We play Darien tomorrow, which is going to be a challenge. I mean, it's just team after team. When you're in the FCIAC, then we have Ludlow. Ward is always a tough team, but I think St. Joe's right now seems to be doing the best so far.
And like we said in the beginning, they're going to come in wanting to win that game.
Yep.
Right now, and I also look at if they do win, and if you don't go on the field, what happens? It's like it's almost for them. They feel like they've accomplished something.
Yeah.
And your program. You guys are always looking ahead, like you said, to the last growth. Where's our potential? So that can really play in your favor too.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, 2 years ago when we were co-champs for state champs, we lost to Danbury during the middle of the season. But that ended up being the turning point to the next, kind of like getting us to the next level.
I almost feel like having an undefeated season is a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, because it's like you build up, and then where you go, then anything that you do lose, become.
Yeah.
But and I asked Barry this, and I want to get your point too as well. As your program is so successful, what advice would you give out to young girls who are out there playing rec, right, playing club, and they're thinking that this program is like, what do I do to be a part of it? What's your advice for someone who's out there trying to listen right now?
I think they have to love the sport. They have to be super passionate about it. It has to be like in them. And they have to love being competitive. I think that, like, not necessarily the winning is what we don't really focus on that. We focus kind of on that love for competition, and we really like to thrive off of those moments when the game is on the line. So I think just love the sport, love what you do, have it be a part of you, and really thrive off of those competitive moments when it's just. The game is on the line. Those are things that really are important to our culture. And
it's amazing because you said that, and Barry said the same thing.
Did he?
And
I feel I need to.
I know. He said he ended the same way because I asked him, and he said it's about the love.
Yeah.
Right. It's about really enjoying every minute that you're out there. It doesn't matter if it's running a drill or if it's scoring a goal in the state final. It should be the same love that you're doing it. So that seems like it comes across, and so the leadership is intact there.
And just one more thing too, I think that we thrive off of is your teammates. Like just playing for your teammates and playing for yourself. Like I think that's a big piece of it. Like love being a part of the team and help kind of raising the level of all the teammates.
It really is about maybe that unsung player that's cheering their teammate on the sideline, getting them ready for the game, right? And then that's impressive.
Yep.
Mackenzie, thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you here.
So much.
We are going to end with our quick hits. We always end the podcast like this.
All right.
We're going to get you a little personal, not too personal, but we're going to get you some answers here, see what you got. So I'm going to give you a couple questions, answers, and you pick what comes to mind.
Yeah.
All right? So we start off, texting or calling?
Texting.
Morning person or night owl?
Morning.
TikTok or Instagram?
Instagram.
Favorite movie?
Oh, I love Remember the Titans. Yeah.
Love that. Tacos or sushi?
Sushi.
Fiction or nonfiction?
Nonfiction.
Beach or sightseeing?
Beach, definitely.
What is your hidden talent or skill?
I don't know if I have a hidden talent or skill. I don't know. I'm kind of open book, Steve. So what you see is what you get.
The thing you're most proud of?
My family, my kids. Yeah, my husband.
If you could have dinner with any historical figure, dead or alive, who would it be?
My grandmother. I never met her. Yeah.
Roller coasters or bumper car rides?
Roller coasters.
And if you could change one thing about the world, what would it be?
Just more kindness, love for everyone. Yeah, less hate. I would love that.
That's awesome. Mackenzie, thank you so much again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me.
It was awesome. Thanks.